Inflation and cost of living.
Have you ever stared at your bank statement, then at your grocery receipt, and felt a creeping sense of bewilderment? Perhaps you are a North American resident, faithfully working, yet constantly feeling as though you are running a race that has no finish line. That persistent feeling of financial uncertainty, the suspicion that something fundamental has shifted in our economic landscape, is not merely paranoia. It is a genuine signal from your lived experience, often contradicting the rosy pictures painted by official statistics. Today we delve into the gritty economic reality that has many feeling like unwitting participants in a game where the rules are rigged. Forget the notion that your struggles are purely personal failings. It's financial pressure cooker. This pervasive sense that your money simply does not go as far as it once did is a meticulously engineered outcome. We will uncover the stark truth behind inflation and the relentless cost of living increases that are systematically eroding your purchasing power. Prepare to confront the uncomfortable reality that while official reports speak of growth, a deeper, more acidic truth reveals itself. A system that seems to be actively creating and printing your poverty, all while convincing you that it is entirely your fault. This is not a session of finger-pointing for its own sake, nor is it a comforting fable designed to make you feel better. Instead, this is your unfiltered didactic guide through the economic complexities currently shaping your world. We will dissect how your paycheck buys less than before and expose the hollow advice of the Just Budget Better Brigade. Ultimately, we will arm you with the knowledge and the strategies necessary to fight back, to navigate this challenging financial environment they created, and to begin reclaiming control over your personal financial destiny. No contractions, just cold, hard, humorous truth.
Your money is expiring. Navigating the great value shrink.
Are you experiencing that peculiar sensation? A vague yet persistent suspicion that your hard-earned money is simply vanishing? You are not alone. That feeling of your wallet developing an insatiable appetite is not merely a figment of your imagination. It is the insidious reality of inflation and the relentless cost of living crisis gripping North America. Welcome to the era where a dollar today buys significantly less than it did last year, a baffling magic trick performed by unseen forces. This is not a drill. This is your economic reality, unfiltered and unvarnished. But what exactly is this economic phantom? Let us strip away the official jargon and speak plainly. Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, and consequently, the purchasing power of currency is falling. Imagine a relentless, invisible tax on your existence. Policymakers, with their characteristic cheerfulness, often assure us that a healthy amount of inflation, perhaps 2%, is beneficial for the economy. One might humorously wonder for whom, precisely. This benefit accrues when grocery bills skyrocket by 10% annually. The primary measure of this monetary erosion is the Consumer Price Index (CPI). However, do not be fooled by its seemingly precise calculations. The CPI is a carefully curated basket of goods and services, often tweaked and adjusted to present a palatable narrative. When officials proclaim inflation is cooling, yet your weekly grocery receipt suggests otherwise. Trust your lived experience. Your personal cost of living is the most accurate barometer, and for many, that barometer is currently screaming distress. This is not merely an academic exercise. This is a fundamental reordering of your financial life. The effects of this silent wealth transfer are not abstract. They're palpable, pressing, and often profoundly frustrating. Consider your daily pilgrimage to the gas station. What once filled your tank for a reasonable sum now feels like a brazen shakedown. Remember when a simple loaf of bread or a carton of eggs did not require a second mortgage? Those halcyon days are now a quaint memory. The rising cost of groceries is perhaps the most immediate and painful manifestation of this crisis. Families are making difficult choices at the supermarket, opting for cheaper, less nutritious alternatives, or simply going without. High gas prices drain commuter budgets, transforming every necessary trip into a financial calculation. And the affordable housing crisis, exacerbated by inflation and soaring interest rates, means securing or retaining shelter has become a Herculean task for many. Rent payments consume an ever larger portion of monthly incomes, leaving precious little for savings, emergencies, or even a modest quality of life. This is not just inconvenient. It is a systemic assault on financial stability for millions of North Americans. Your paycheck, once a symbol of security, now feels like a leaking bucket. Who is responsible for this economic malaise? The official narratives are plentiful, ranging from supply chain disruptions, a convenient catch-all for anything global, to the lingering effects of unprecedented government spending and loose monetary policies during recent crises. The sheer volume of new currency injected into the system certainly played its part, cheapening the value of every existing dollar. However, a more cynical and perhaps more accurate perspective points to corporate profits. Many corporations, under the guise of inflationary pressures, have seized the opportunity to aggressively raise prices beyond their increased costs, achieving record profits while simultaneously blaming external factors. This phenomenon, sometimes termed greedflation, highlights a disturbing truth. While your purchasing power dwindles, some entities are thriving. The reality is likely a complex interplay of these factors, a perfect storm brewing to ensure your financial discomfort. While the macroeconomic forces at play may feel insurmountable, you are not entirely powerless. Developing robust personal finance strategies is no longer optional. It is essential. 1. Aggressive budgeting. The obvious yet painful truth. Yes, it is boring. Yes, it involves confronting uncomfortable truths about your spending habits. But meticulously tracking expenses is the first step toward regaining control. Ditching the daily latte might not save you from systemic inflation, but it will certainly help you identify where your money is actually going. Every penny saved is a penny that retains a sliver of its diminishing value. 2. Strategic debt reduction, the chains that bind. High-interest debt, particularly credit card debt, becomes an even more dangerous adversary during inflationary periods. The interest you pay only compounds your financial pain. Prioritize paying down these liabilities. It is akin to cutting off parasitic financial barnacles. 3. Bolstering savings, a retreat. It's not a victory. An emergency fund is your primary shield against unexpected financial blows. Aim for at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Crucially, consider parking these funds in high-yield savings accounts, ISAs. While their returns may not outpace inflation, they offer a slightly less terrible return than traditional checking accounts, providing a small measure of resistance against the dollar's decay. 4. Income generation, fight fire with more fire. In an environment where the cost of living relentlessly climbs, simply maintaining your current income is a losing proposition. Explore side hustles, negotiate for a significant raise, or acquire new skills to increase your earning potential. Your labor is one of your most potent assets. Leverage it aggressively. Keeping all your capital in cash during high inflation is akin to watching ice melt in the sun. Some investment strategies can offer a degree of protection. Real assets. Consider real estate or commodities as gold, silver, and oil as potential hedges. These tangible assets often perform better when fiat currency depreciates. Stocks of resilient companies. Invest in companies with strong pricing power. Those that can pass on increased costs to consumers without significant loss of business. Treasury inflation-protected securities tips. These government bonds adjust their principal value in response to inflation, offering some defense. The economic truth is that inflation and the cost of living crisis are not temporary inconveniences. They are persistent challenges reshaping your financial landscape. The narrative of everything is fine is a comforting lie that costs you real money. Your responsibility, therefore, is to embrace financial resilience, educate yourself continually, and adapt your strategies to this new, often frustrating reality. Do not wait for external forces to fix what they broke. Take control of your finances now. Your wallet and your future depend upon it.
The illusion of growth. Who is actually printing your poverty?
Have you ever gazed upon headlines proclaiming robust economic growth, booming stock markets, and ever-increasing national GDPs, only to glance at your own bank account, your grocery bill, or your mortgage statement and wonder, whose growth exactly are they talking about? You're not suffering from economic illiteracy. You are merely witnessing the illusion of growth. This is not a conspiracy theory for the tinfoil hat brigade. It is a cold, hard, discomforting truth about how our modern financial systems operate. While the official numbers sing praises of prosperity, many North Americans find themselves stuck in a relentless cycle, meticulously crafted to keep them just productive enough to service a system that seems to be printing your poverty. Let us begin with the darling of economic indicators: gross domestic product, GDP. This seemingly infallible metric measures the total monetary value of all finished goods and services produced within a country's borders in a specific period. Sounds splendid, does it not? More goods, more services, more wealth for everyone? Except, not quite. GDP is a blunt instrument. It counts the creation of wealth, but remains largely indifferent to its distribution. It fails to distinguish between productive, sustainable activity and financialized speculation. $1 million house sale adds to GDP, as does the fees charged for refinancing a mountain of debt. Imagine a household where one member buys a luxury yacht while the rest struggle to afford basic necessities. The household's wealth is technically grown, but the vast majority are worse off. This is the macrocosm of GDP. It is the economic equivalent of claiming a patient is perfectly healthy because their heart rate is strong, despite the fact that blood is only flowing to one limb. The aggregate numbers can, and often do, mask a declining quality of life for the average individual. This is not genuine prosperity, it is statistical sleight of hand. Now, let us delve into the actual mechanics of how this growth is often engineered, and how it subtly picks your pockets. Meet your friendly neighborhood central banks, such as the Federal Reserve in the United States or the Bank of Canada. When economic crises strike, or when stimulus is deemed necessary, these institutions wield immense power. Their most potent tool in recent decades has been quantitative easing, QE, a fancy term for creating money out of thin air to buy government bonds and other assets. The stated goal of QE is to lower interest rates, stimulate borrowing, and encourage investment. The implicit and often achieved goal, however, is to prop up asset prices. When the central bank injects trillions into the financial system, that money does not magically appear in your checking account. It flows first to banks, then largely into financial markets, inflating the value of stocks, bonds, and crucially, real estate. This is the financialization of our economy, where the acquisition of paper assets takes precedence over the creation of tangible value. This monetary policy is essentially the machine that is printing your poverty, not through direct confiscation, but through devaluation and increased cost of living. The most glaring consequence of this perpetual money printing is wealth inequality. While the stock market soars and real estate values become astronomical, who benefits? Predominantly those who already own significant assets. If you own a portfolio of stocks, congratulations, your net worth has likely swelled. If you own multiple properties, your equity has exploded. But if your primary asset is your labor, your wages have largely stagnated, and your ability to acquire those assets has diminished significantly. Consider the average North American struggling with cost of living. They see their rent jump, their mortgage rates climb, and the price of literally everything increase. Meanwhile, the very policies designed to stimulate the economy have funneled wealth upwards, making the wealthy demonstrably wealthier. This is not a bug in the system, it is a feature. When asset prices outpace wage growth, the gap between the haves and have-nots widens, making social mobility a romantic notion rather than an achievable goal. The rising tide lifts all yachts, leaving the rowboats to contend with the growing waves. The real-world impact on you, the average person, is profound. Despite those glowing GDP reports, real wages adjusted for inflation, have largely failed to keep pace with the ever-increasing cost of living. This means that even if your nominal income has increased, your purchasing power often has not. You're working harder, but your money buys less. This economic squeeze forces individuals into a precarious dance with debt. To maintain a semblance of a middle-class lifestyle, or simply to afford basic necessities like housing and transportation. Many resort to credit cards, personal loans, and car financing. This rising tide of personal debt further extracts wealth, as interest payments become an increasingly significant drain on your income. The system, in its infinite wisdom, has effectively created a scenario where you must borrow to live, and then dedicate a substantial portion of your future earnings to servicing that borrowing. It is a hamster wheel, expertly designed. Understanding this intricate web of economic deception is the first step towards self-preservation. You cannot single-handedly dismantle the global financial system, but you can certainly protect yourself from its more predatory aspects. 1. Be skeptical of official narratives. Always question the headlines. When they speak of growth, ask for whom. When they speak of recovery, ask at whose expense. 2. Focus on real assets. In an environment where paper money is constantly devalued, consider tangible assets if your financial situation allows. Investing in skills that increase your earning potential is also a real asset. 3. Aggressively manage debt. High-interest debt is a primary tool for transferring wealth from you to financial institutions. Pay it down with extreme prejudice. 4. Boost your income relentlessly. In a system designed to deflate your purchasing power, your most potent defense is to constantly seek ways to increase your income, whether through career advancement, side hustles, or entrepreneurial ventures. The illusion of growth is a powerful sedative, lulling the populace into believing that the economy is doing just fine, even as their own lives grow demonstrably harder. The reality is that much of the growth we celebrate is a financialized construct, fueled by monetary policies that inflate asset bubbles and exacerbate wealth inequality, all while quietly printing your poverty. It is time to see through the smoke and mirrors, understand the mechanisms at play, and prepare yourself for an economic reality that is far more complex and often more cynical than the evening news lets on. Your financial well-being depends upon your ability to discern the genuine from the engineered.
Eating your savings, why your paycheck buys less than before.
Are you experiencing a peculiar financial phenomenon? That sensation where your monthly earnings, seemingly identical to last year's, somehow performed fewer miracles at the grocery store, the gas pump, or even the local coffee shop. If your paycheck feels like it has been on a crash diet, it's perpetually shrinking in its buying power, you are not imagining things. Welcome to the infuriating reality of eating your savings, where the purchasing power of your money is systematically eroded, leaving you with less despite earning the same, or even slightly more. This is not some economic magic trick. This is the direct, often painful consequence of forces deliberately designed to make your struggle, shall we say, more interesting. At the heart of your paycheck's disappearing act lies inflation, the economic equivalent of a stealthy, relentless pickpocket. It is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, and, as an inescapable consequence, the purchasing power of currency is falling. Remember that 2% healthy inflation target our central bankers so fondly mention. Well, we have sailed far past that cozy benchmark, and the resulting waves are capsizing your budget. When inflation runs hot, every dollar you possess, whether in your wallet or gathering dust in a low-interest savings account, effectively loses value. Imagine a pie that used to serve 8 people comfortably. With inflation, that same pie is now expected to feed 10, meaning each slice is significantly smaller. Your dollar is now a less capable tool, requiring more of its brethren to accomplish the same tasks it once performed alone. This is why your paycheck buys less than before. It is not because you are earning less money, but because each unit of that money has been systematically devalued. Adding insult to injury, while the cost of everything from housing to avocados has been on an upward trajectory, your wages have often failed to keep pace. This is the phenomenon of wage stagnation in the face of escalating cost of living. While you might have received a modest 2 or 3% raise, if inflation is running at 5 or 7%, you are effectively taking a pay cut. Your nominal earnings may have increased, but your real wages, what your money can actually purchase, have declined. It is like being on a treadmill that keeps speeding up while you maintain the same pace. You are putting in the effort, you are moving, but you are not actually going anywhere. In fact, you are falling behind. This creates an insidious trap. To merely maintain your previous standard of living, you must constantly earn more, simply to counteract the eroding effect of inflation. This is a fundamental reason why many North Americans feel perpetually behind, despite working harder than ever. The most visceral evidence that your paycheck buys less stares you down every time you visit the supermarket. What once cost $100 for a week's worth of groceries now barely covers half a cart. Steak has become a luxury item, and even staple goods like eggs, milk, and bread have seen double-digit price increases. This is not a conspiracy. This is your economic reality, Beyond food, the erosion is pervasive. Gas prices remain stubbornly high, turning every commute into a budget negotiation. Rent increases have outpaced wage growth for years, forcing many to spend an uncomfortably large portion of their income on shelter. Utility bills, healthcare costs, insurance premiums, they all conspire to drain your financial well-being. Your disposable income is rapidly becoming merely income, with the disposable part having been neatly disposed of by the market. For decades, the conventional wisdom suggested putting spare cash into a savings account for a rainy day. This advice, while well-intentioned, has become a cruel joke in the current economic climate. With inflation running at elevated levels, and traditional savings account interest rates often hovering well below that, your cash is actively losing value every single day it sits there. This is the ultimate irony. You are diligently saving, making prudent choices, but the very act of saving in a safe lutenist environment means your money is being eaten by inflation. It is a slow, agonizing bleed where your future self will thank your past self for having money, but lament its diminished strength. This dynamic reinforces the need to think beyond traditional savings and consider strategies that at least attempt to preserve, if not grow, your purchasing power. While you cannot single-handedly fix the macroeconomic landscape, you are not entirely powerless against this erosion. Proactive financial planning is no longer a suggestion. It is a defensive strategy. 1. Aggressive budgeting and expense tracking. Know exactly where every penny goes. Cut ruthlessly where possible. Identify luxury leaks and plug them. 2. Seek higher yields for your emergency fund and short-term savings. Aggressively pursue high-yield savings accounts, SYSAs, or short-term certificates of deposit CDs. While they may not beat inflation, they will mitigate the loss of value. 3. Invest smartly for growth. For longer-term goals, simply saving will not suffice. Investing in assets that have historically outpaced inflation, such as a diversified portfolio of stocks or real estate if accessible, is crucial to preserving and growing your wealth. 4. Boost your income. In a world where your money buys less, increasing your earnings becomes paramount. Negotiate raises, develop new skills, or explore side hustles to create additional income streams. 5. Aggressively pay down high-interest debt. The interest you pay on credit cards and other high-cost loans is another form of eating your savings. Eliminate this drain as quickly as possible. The stark reality is that your paycheck buys less than before, because the value of your dollar is under constant attack from inflation and stagnant real wages. This is not an abstract economic theory. This is a daily financial struggle for millions of North Americans. Ignoring it will not make it disappear. It will only accelerate the pace at which your savings are eaten. By understanding these dynamics and adopting proactive financial strategies, you can begin to regain some control over your financial destiny and protect your hard-earned money from the invisible thief. Your wallet and your peace of mind depend upon it.
The just budget better lie. When the system is rigged against you,
just budget better. The familiar refrain. Often delivered with a patronizing pat on the head, as if your inability to magically conjure disposable income from thin air is solely a failure of your spreadsheet skills. For millions of North Americans struggling to keep their financial heads above water, this ubiquitous advice is not merely unhelpful. It is a cruel, dismissive lie. It is an insidious deflection, expertly designed to shift blame from systemic failures onto the shoulders of individuals who are, in many cases, already doing everything right. If you have been told to just budget better and felt a surge of incandescent rage, understand this: you are not incompetent. You are likely an unwitting participant in a financial game where the rules are rigged. The dice are loaded, and the house always wins. Let us be unequivocally clear. Budgeting is a valuable personal finance tool. Understanding where your money goes is fundamental to managing it effectively. Creating a budget can identify wasteful spending, highlight areas for optimization, and provide a sense of control over your finances. However, suggesting that budgeting is the universal cure for all financial ills is akin to handing a bucket to someone whose house is flooding due to a burst dam and instructing them to just bail better. The problem is not merely the water in the house, it is the structural failure upstream. For a vast and growing segment of the population, particularly those living paycheck to paycheck, there is simply no fat to trim from the budget. There are no daily lattes to forego, no unnecessary streaming services to cancel, no designer clothes to resist. Their budget is already a lean, mean survival machine, meticulously allocating every single dollar to absolute necessities. When every line item is essential, rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, medication, the advice to just budget better becomes a taunt, implying a moral failing rather than acknowledging an economic impossibility. The primary culprit in rendering your meticulous budget impotent is the widening chasm between stagnant wages and the exploding cost of living. While productivity in North America has surged over the past few decades, the average worker's pay has, for many, barely budged when adjusted for inflation. Corporate profits, however, have reached record highs. This is not coincidental. It is a direct consequence of an economic system designed to prioritize shareholder value over worker well-being. Your employer, bless their heart, is often not paying you enough to keep pace with the real-world expenses of simply existing. Data meticulously illustrates this alarming trend. The purchasing power of your dollar has steadily eroded, meaning your paycheck, even if nominally larger, buys significantly less than it did a decade ago. So, when your rent consumes half your income and groceries demand another quarter, telling you to just budget better is not offering solutions. It is ignoring the fact that your financial boat has more holes than patches. The just budget better mantra also conveniently ignores the non-negotiable, astronomical expenses that characterize modern life in North America. Housing affordability has become a national crisis, with rents and home prices skyrocketing far beyond the reach of average incomes. In many urban centers, a decent apartment can consume 50% or more of a single earner's take-home pay. This is not optional spending, it is the cost of shelter. Then there is the gaping black hole that is healthcare costs. A single unexpected medical emergency, even with insurance, can utterly devastate a family's finances, plunging them into medical debt that can take years to escape. Childcare expenses frequently rival or even exceed mortgage payments, forcing parents to choose between working simply to pay for childcare or having one parent leave the workforce, further shrinking the household income. These are not discretionary categories to be slashed. They are fundamental costs of raising a family or simply staying alive. No amount of better budgeting will make these expenses magically disappear or become substantially cheaper. When income falls short of essential expenses, people resort to credit. This is not a moral failing, it is a survival mechanism within a flawed system. Credit card debt, student loans, and personal loans become the necessary bridges to cover the gap. The problem is, these bridges come with exorbitant tolls in the form of high interest rates, which then become another massive unbudgetable expense. The financial system, in its infinite benevolence, offers easy access to high-interest credit, providing a temporary lifeline that eventually drags individuals deeper into the debt cycle. The interest payments alone can consume a significant portion of a meager paycheck, making it nearly impossible to budget your way out of the hole. It is a feedback loop. Insufficient income leads to debt, and debt then eats into future income, ensuring continuous struggle. This mechanism serves a purpose. It transfers wealth from the financially vulnerable to the financial institutions, further enriching those at the top. The constant drumbeat of just budget better serves another, its more insidious purpose. It reinforces the bootstraps fallacy, a pervasive cultural narrative that posits all financial struggles are purely individual failures. This narrative conveniently deflects attention from the systemic issues at play: inadequate minimum wages, lack of affordable housing, prohibitive healthcare costs, and a financial system that increasingly benefits the wealthy at the expense of everyone else. By blaming the individual for their financial woes, society avoids confronting the uncomfortable truth that the economic game is not fair. It absolves policymakers, corporations, and the wealthy from any responsibility, allowing them to continue benefiting from a system that actively creates financial precarity for many. It is easier to tell someone to stop buying coffee than to demand livable wages or universal health care. While personal financial literacy remains important, the conversation must evolve beyond the patronizing "just budget better" trope. For millions, The problem is not a lack of budgeting skill. It is a fundamental lack of sufficient income to cover ever-increasing essential expenses. We need to acknowledge that when the system is rigged against you, individual solutions, while personally empowering, cannot solve systemic problems. We need to collectively demand livable wages, a minimum wage that truly reflects the cost of living, affordable housing initiatives, policies that increase the supply of genuinely affordable housing options, accessible healthcare, a system where illness does not lead to financial ruin, debt relief and regulation, protections against predatory lending and pathways to escape overwhelming debt. The next time someone tells you to just budget better, challenge them. Remind them that many budgets are already stretched to breaking point by a system that prioritizes profit over people. Your struggle is not a personal failing. It is an indictment of an economic structure that needs fundamental reevaluation. It is time to stop accepting the lie and start demanding a system that works for everyone, not just for the chosen few.
Fight back, navigating the economic wasteland they created.
The landscape of personal finance in North America often feels less like a vibrant garden of opportunity and more like a barren, unforgiving economic wasteland. You are not mistaken. The signs are everywhere. Skyrocketing inflation devours your savings. Interest rates on mortgages make homeownership a cruel joke. And the relentless narrative of just budget better rings hollow when the system itself seems meticulously crafted to keep you struggling. If you have woken up to the stark reality that the rules of the game are perpetually shifting against you, then it is time to fight back. This is not a call for revolution, but for radical self-preservation and strategic navigation within the very terrain they have meticulously sculpted. Before we can fight, we must understand the battlefield. The economic wasteland is characterized by several insidious features: persistent inflation, an invisible tax eroding your purchasing power, making your paycheck buy less every month; wage stagnation. Your income fails to keep pace with the rising cost of essential goods and services. Unaffordable necessities, housing, healthcare, and education costs have become exorbitant, often requiring crippling debt. High interest rates, borrowing money, whether for a home or a basic need, has become prohibitively expensive, funneling wealth towards lenders. The debt trap. A pervasive reliance on credit to bridge the gap between insufficient income and escalating expenses, leading to a cycle of servitude. This is not a temporary inconvenience. It is the new normal. To survive and perhaps even thrive, you must discard the comforting illusions of the past and embrace a proactive, almost rebellious approach to your personal finances. Passive acceptance is no longer an option. The first, and arguably most crucial, step in fighting back is a fundamental shift in mindset. Cease being a passive recipient of economic forces and transform into an active, strategic player. The woe is me narrative, while understandable, is ultimately disempowering. Recognize that while you cannot single-handedly alter global monetary policy or legislate corporate ethics, you can absolutely control your response to these external pressures. Embrace a mindset of financial resilience. This means being adaptable, resourceful, and relentlessly focused on fortifying your personal economic position. It involves a willingness to challenge conventional wisdom, to learn continuously, and to execute strategies with the precision of a seasoned combatant. Your financial well-being is a constant campaign, not a one-time battle. Before launching any offensive, you must shore up your defenses. This involves a brutal, unflinching look at your current financial state. 1. Radical budgeting, your tactical reconnaissance. Forget just budgeting better. This is about radical budgeting. This is not about finding spare change. It is about forensic analysis of every dollar. Identify every non-essential expense and eliminate it without remorse. Netflix, that daily coffee, that subscription you barely use, they are luxuries in an economic war. Redefine essential with an iron will. Your budget is now a survival plan, not a suggestion. Tools for expense tracking become your intelligence reports, highlighting where your resources are being drained. 2. Aggressive debt annihilation. Breaking the chains. High-interest debt, particularly credit card debt, is your most formidable enemy in this wasteland. The interest payments alone are a constant hemorrhage, draining your resources and preventing any forward movement. Prioritize paying down these liabilities with an almost fanatical zeal. Use strategies like the debt snowball or debt avalanche to accelerate your liberation. Every dollar freed from debt servicing is a dollar you can deploy for your own benefit, not a bank's profit. This is about reclaiming your economic freedom. 3. Emergency fund fortification. Building your bunker. In an unpredictable economic environment, an emergency fund is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Aim for a minimum of 6 to 12 months of living expenses stored in a separate, easily accessible account, ideally a high-yield savings account, HISA. This fund acts as your primary shield against unforeseen job losses, medical emergencies, or unexpected repairs, preventing you from resorting to high-interest debt when disaster strikes. It provides the crucial psychological safety net, allowing you to take calculated risks. Once your defenses are solid, it is time to go on the offensive. This involves actively seeking opportunities to increase your wealth and protect your purchasing power. 1. Income amplification. The best defense is a good offense. In a world where inflation is a constant threat, simply maintaining your income is a losing proposition. You must actively pursue income generation and amplification. Skill acquisition. Invest in learning new and demand skills. Focus on areas resilient to economic downturns and automation, such as technology, digital marketing, or specialized trades. Your knowledge is your most portable and powerful asset. Side hustles. Explore entrepreneurial ventures or side gigs that can generate additional revenue streams. Leverage the gig economy to your advantage, even if it is just a temporary measure to pay down debt or build savings faster. Negotiate relentlessly. Do not shy away from negotiating your salary, benefits, or contract terms. Your labor is valuable. Demand to be compensated fairly, not just nominally, but in terms of real purchasing power. 2. Smart investing. The art of war for your money. Stashing all your money in a traditional savings account is like burying gold in the desert. It will be there, but its value will diminish over time. You need to strategically deploy your capital into assets that have a fighting chance against inflation. Diversified investments. Consider a diversified portfolio of stocks. Focusing on companies with strong pricing power and consistent earnings, explore exchange-traded funds ETFs for broad market exposure, real assets, and inflation hedges. Explore real estate if accessible and strategically sound, commodities like gold, or Treasury inflation-protected securities tips as potential hedges against the declining value of currency. Continuous financial education. Become your own financial advisor. Understand market cycles, investment vehicles, and risk management. The more you know, the less susceptible you are to economic manipulation. While individual action is paramount, remember you are not alone in this economic wasteland. Connect with communities online or offline that share similar struggles and financial goals. Share strategies, learn from others' successes and failures, and find motivation in collective wisdom. While the system may be rigged, shared knowledge and mutual support can provide invaluable strength. The economic wasteland they created is a daunting place, but it is not unconquerable. By shifting your mindset from passive victim to active strategist, by ruthlessly shoring up your defenses, and by launching targeted offensive maneuvers, you can fight back. This is about reclaiming agency over your financial life, understanding the mechanisms at play, and proactively building a future that is resilient, independent, and ultimately yours. It will not be easy, but inaction is a guarantee of perpetual struggle. The time for apathy is over. The time to fight for your financial future is now.
The financial ultimatum. Your unfiltered call to action.
We have meticulously peeled back the layers of deception, revealing a stark truth that demands your undivided attention. You now understand that your money is expiring. The great value shrink is not a mere inconvenience, but a deliberate consequence of larger economic forces. We have exposed the illusion of growth. Who is actually printing your poverty, demonstrating how prosperity for some often means precarity for many. It is clear that your savings are being devoured, leading to a situation where your paycheck buys less than before. Rendering the simplistic advice to just budget better a cruel and dismissive lie when the very system is rigged against you. This critical understanding is the first essential step towards reclaiming your financial autonomy. Now, with this unfiltered knowledge firmly in hand, you are equipped to fight back, navigating the economic wasteland they created. The strategies, the methodologies, and the insights shared throughout this instructional video are not academic exercises. They are the indispensable tools required for your financial survival and eventual prosperity. We implore you to not only comprehend these concepts, but to actively implement them. Transform passive consumption of information into aggressive, informed action. For your economic future depends upon your unwavering resolve and your strategic deployment of every lesson learned. This battle for financial sovereignty cannot be waged in isolation. If this unvarnished truth resonates, if the need to understand and counter these systemic pressures stirs your resolve, then demonstrate your commitment. Subscribe to the Finance Unfiltered channel to ensure you receive continuous, hard-hitting analysis. Press the like button to amplify this vital message, allowing it to reach and enlighten a broader audience. Leave a comment sharing your insights, your struggles, or your victories, fostering a community of informed resistance. Most importantly, share this content widely, for collective knowledge is our most potent weapon against the illusions that bind us all.